So for the last 3 weeks here in the UK, the weather has been scorching hot. So unbearable to do any work in, but I've had to do things as usual. And this week I taught myself how to fit coving. Now we'd already done the coving in the room behind us, but I was really the girl propping things up just to give a helping hand because I was too scared to do it. This time I was just determined to get it done. And we already had half a pack left in the shed with loads of mitered corners already that come in a B&Q pack, but I decided I wanted to learn how to do them myself using this coving cutting tool from Wix. So I'll leave all the links to things below, but I really wouldn't be without it. The only thing was, I found all the YouTube tutorials quite confusing because you have to flip them around, do loads of different things, different angles to understand it, rather than just doing straightforward mitered, internal, external corners for skirting boards. It felt totally different. So I thought I'm going to show you how I did it. So keep on watching if you want to see how I get on. So this coving tool costs £4.29 and it's available in 2 different sizes, and it cuts internal, external and straight cuts. And this is me just getting an idea of which way things went. And the first thing I needed to do was work out a measurement line so I could mark it on the wall. And I mistakenly followed loads of YouTube videos on marking 83mm. So do double check what it says on your coving. So I'm marking 83mm here on a piece of card, so I never have to measure it again. And placed it vertically in the corner of the ceiling and used it as a guide to mark where I needed it. And then grabbing a spirit level, I lined those all up. But my ceiling line wasn't straight either. So a quick search online, and a lot of people said that you've just got to follow in general where most of them are. But I also did that for the ceiling as well. So this is a B&Q coving that I used. Luckily, whichever way I cut it, the pattern was actually symmetrical on it. And you can see one of the old pieces of coving here that already came with mitered ends. However, the pack on the left hand side here is only about a few pence cheaper per metre, so I actually recommend the dearer one. And it comes with separate mitered corners as well. So this is when I realised my pencil lines weren't right, and there was quite a big gap. But a lot of you recommended on Facebook just to follow the bottom line. And if the top didn't always reach the ceiling, never force it, just fill it with cut later, otherwise it could look wonky. But because my ceiling was so out, I decided, sod it, I'm just going to hold a piece up, place it evenly between the gaps I had left over, and draw a pencil line around it and go all the way around. And again, I'm just checking a long piece of coving just to see if it positions alright, because one of my worst fears about this job was it all looking wonky when I put it up. But thankfully I had a brilliant tip from Rob over at YouTube channel Spend Time Save Money DIY, and he recommended to hammer nails on that pencil line. That way, when I glued the coving, I could rest it on top and it'd give me time to get everything right. And that was what made this job so easy to do it on my own. Then one of my subscribers, Sean Eaton, recommended to brushing the area with PVA first, otherwise it may come off because it's a painted area. So to get started easily, I used one of the pieces of coving with a mitered corner. And I bought a huge tub of this B&Q dial, coving adhesive and filler, but I've got to say, I had no faith whatsoever in the consistency of this because it was like a partially melted Mr. Whippet, and it was really difficult to work with because it didn't dry very quickly. So I'm applying it with a filling knife and just went over the top and bottom at the back. So now I'm pressing it into place, and I kept having to push the bottom area, but there was just too much movement in it for my liking. And now it was time to mark out where my next piece of coving needed to be. And this was the last piece with the pre-cut mitered end. So I'm holding it into the corner and marking the end position of the other one on this new one. But bear in mind, you'll need to cut about 2 extra mil off, just because you don't want to leave the mitered corners too tight to allow another piece to slot in. So using a speed square, I just quickly drew a straight line. I tried a Stanley knife to start off with. It never went all the way through, so I quickly turned to my very small fine-toothed handsaw, and this was perfect for the job. And because I started this on a late Sunday afternoon, all the shops were closed, and I hadn't predicted I wouldn't like the other adhesive, so I had to start using any grab adhesive out of my shed. And this stuff is just too hard to work with to get the job done quickly. So I'll show you a much better one that Rob recommended later. But I also did add adhesive to the 2 cuts in the middle. So now I've got to break into the new packet, and these have no mitered edges on them at all. But I may as well start teaching myself now because I'll have to do some cuts eventually. So thankfully I had some of the pre-cut corners that are from the more expensive box. So to work things out, I held one against the other piece of coving and held the tool there in place, and once I knew which way to go, I never separated those 2 pieces, so I always got it right. And then held that on top of the new coving, took the pre-cut piece away and kept that in position. I then had to place it underneath and then cut the ends off, following the slant with a very sharp Stanley knife. And because I wanted pristine cuts, I made this mini sort of clamp so it would keep my coving steady as I cut it. Now my first attempt was probably quite sloppy because later I found you needed to press firmly down on it and never let it move and make 3 passes over it. But on this occasion I didn't go all the way through, so I had to do it partially again and then gently fold it on the cut and just do a few tiny little cuts. And I sanded over it with some finishing paper for a cleaner edge. So with this being my first attempt, you can see a very slight gap, but I wasn't too concerned because I could fill little bits with decorator's cork later. So I was lucky again with another pre-cut mitered corner and copied the same method as last time and then placed it underneath so I could flip it over and make a cut. And another thing that I learned was that when you cut on the outer of this miter cutting tool, you're always making internal cuts. But when you're cutting from the inside, you're doing external cuts. Also, what I didn't realise was each time I made an internal cut, the leftover piece would always give me an external piece. You could try and kill 2 birds with 1 stone, but it might be a bit of a wasteful way of doing it. I just kept it simple and just focused on 1 corner at a time. So my cuts are getting cleaner now, and I thought, oh, go on, let's just give it one more go with this really, really thick adhesive, and then just call it a day until the shop's open. And every time any adhesive ran out, I just had a pouch of kitchen wipes on me so I could just get rid of it quickly. So here's the adhesive that I used from Toolstation, £1.58 a tube, and it works. And because this stuff was much easier to work with, this is where I just sailed through it and applied it on the cut sides as I went along. And I left a 2 or 3 mil gap on the far right for another piece of coving later. So now I've built my confidence over internal mitered corners, I saved the external miters till last. But I'm holding it up for a visual so I can work out which way I need to cut those. And this is where I realised I had to cut it on the inside, and I just found it quite awkward to cut towards the end. So using a scrap piece of coving, you can see I've placed it underneath the left hand side, so when I make my external cut I'm not wobbling all over the place. I just have this feeling there's a better way to do it than this. But I cut it on the inside, carried on as normal, and then to cut that piece down to size I measured the length of it. On these awkward pieces, I always focused on the external cut before doing the internal one, and then transferred the measurement along the bottom of that coving, and then made an internal cut. So a piece that goes from internal to external will look like this. And once I'd done that, I'd pretty much worked it all out. And any slight gaps, as mentioned before, I could just fill them with cork. So after removing all the nails, I went along the tops and the bottom with decorator's cork and smoothed it all out with some kitchen wipes. And before I painted the coving white, this time I used some low tack frog tape and then painted the coving with Dulux's Brilliant White in Matte Easy Care, which is washable, and give it its final coat. And then time for the big reveal, removing the frog tape, and it did amazing on the pale pink paint, but it did take some big chunks off the darker paint. So unexpectedly, I had to do some final touch-ups. So it turned out to be a really rewarding job, and I'm so glad I did it because now I know I can do the hallway and any other room in the future. But the next job is to focus on this pipe area, and I didn't show that in this video because I've got a wardrobe to put here, and once it's in place I'll know what space I've got, whether I want to box it in completely all the way down to the bottom, or just maybe even just cut holes through for the coving. But I have seen some pretty poor examples on a quick Google search, which has put me off. So I'm going to leave that at the moment and come back to it. So if you do anything differently, feel free to comment below. But what tool would you use? You might think that this Wix coving cutting tool is rubbish. So if you've got any tips or secrets, then feel free to comment below. And hopefully I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching. Bye.